Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast where early childhood leaders like you get real-world strategies, honest talk, and a whole lot of support. Whether you're running one center or many, we're here to help you lead with confidence and clarity. This episode is brought to you by this quarter's sponsor, Playground, the all-in-one childcare management software. We're all about managing monkeys and saving you time at your center. With this platform, you can. We're proud to partner with a team that's as committed to your success as we are. Learn more at tryplayground.com. Now, let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to love.
Welcome, and today we are so excited to have Hannah join us, and Hannah is with what we call ECI webinars, which is Early Childhood
Investigations
webinars, and they've been around for a really, really long time. They were started by Fran Simon, what feels like over a decade ago. How long has it actually been, Hannah?
It's been since 2009.
Oh, so okay. Decade and a half. There we go.
Yeah, 16
decade
years.
and a half plus.
Yeah.
And we know that things have changed over the course of the last year with ECI, and so we're really glad for you to join us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of talk about ECI as a training tool for programs and go from there.
Yeah. So I had early childhood investigations. I started earlier this year, hired by Playground. And so what happened was I was previously at a different company for 5-ish years, a little over 5 years. And it was one of those things where you love your job, but you don't necessarily love who you're doing it for, kind of thing. And that was probably not the most eloquent way to say it. But what I realized was missing from my life was just the mission and the passion of what I wanted to be doing. So I have two very dichotomic loves and passions in my life, which are oceanic conservation and education in America. And so when Playground acquired ECI, or Early Childhood Investigations, they ended up providing this incredible opportunity of needing someone who was going to lead the entire team. And so when they were hunting for someone, they ended up finding me, and I could not have been more excited for this opportunity, because it was, hey, do what you enjoy doing, of getting to market, getting to do market research, getting to constantly learn, and then also get the opportunity to teach other people. And I was like, I get to have a job where I get to nurture those who get to train the next generation. So I was like, I felt like I just stepped into the perfect role. And so that's how I ended up starting as head of ECI earlier this year. And now it's just been a phenomenal journey of getting to learn under Fran Simon, and then her officially passing over the baton maybe like 5 months ago. And now it's just been myself and a few strong members leading the team, along with Sasha, who's our co-founder at Playground. And we've just been on this journey of exploring hundreds and hundreds of authors, researchers, experts in the field, and bringing them forth to be able to present them to the rest of the industry as their own personal teachers that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten the access to because of time, not having the chance to go to conferences. Like, cost ends up playing a really big factor. So now here we are marrying together everything of like, let me give you a resource of a teacher that you didn't get access to. And now here we are. And so it's been a beautiful opportunity, and I'm just like super excited to be in this position, in this role.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody lives in a rural community, or they're in, I don't know, one of the largest states in the country, it can be very hard to get to a conference or something else to get professional training, professional development training by an actual, I shouldn't say by an actual person. All of the big training companies, there are people there, but there's something different between having somebody talking and there being a chat there that you can interact with. We provide online training. We're not saying online training is not good, but there is something about having all of your training where it's just you in a cocoon, where with the ECI, you've got that chat feature, you've got the ability to have a little bit of interaction with the experts that you wouldn't necessarily get otherwise. And you get new ideas about different types of play and different ways to set up classrooms. And you've had architects and theorists and authors, and I think you've got a great mix.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's been one of the goals. It's like we have an industry full of incredible researchers, authors, experts like your guys' self who've been in the field for years. And now people have the opportunity to get a chance to connect with you. And it, to your point, like, does everyone have that chance to travel? Does also your school have the ability to let you go off to a conference? It's like, let's bring all of that to you so that way you don't get to miss out on this opportunity to continue your growth. Because as we know, like professional development in any industry is extraordinarily important for your own personal career, but it's also so important for being in the educational field where now as a teacher, if you got to keep growing, then that gets relayed onto the kids that you get to teach as well.
Yeah.
So I have a question. You mentioned something when you talked about all the great things that you get to do in your job. And one of the things that you said was research. What does that look like when in your role at ECI? What are you doing that somebody might go, "Oh yeah, that really is research." And it's not just, "Oh, you go find your friends and have your friends deliver content."
Yeah, yeah. So I think like one of the best parts about this role is I have to be on top of the ball with what is coming out in early education. And so I have to be aware of what are those research papers that are coming out, what are the different ways that people are trying to engage children. And so I'll go out into different universities and keep in mind of like what are the different research papers that are being published and whether that's like in a paper versus a book, and then understanding that like what are they taking from their field and doing a deep dive of, okay, I'm looking into what's happening from how to teach STEM. It's like, what makes STEM engaging? What's a different way to make it broken down to that way? If you're a teacher that wasn't your field, how do you make it approachable? And then how do you present that into an approachable way for your children or for your kiddos in your classroom, and that the different age segments that they belong to. So like from my job of needing to be a researcher myself, which is like, how do I vet out those who are also in the field? It's like, I'm looking for folks who are actively getting their doctorates or in their, like, are a doctor leading research in the field, and then seeing if I can connect with them and then bring them on. So it's been a world of research. Like, it feels like an Ouroboros of information of like, okay, this part and then this part, and it's rotating and we're helping. And it's just like, what can I do to be a part of this and then launch it out to the public?
Absolutely. So with that though, do you also go try to find new topics, like, or do you look at the demographics of the folks that's coming? Because I mean, we've attended some as participants. We've been on as trainers. And I mean, I know that there are some that you guys literally get thousands of folks from around the globe. This is not just, in the US or continental US. You've gotten folks from all around the globe that tune in live even to watch the episodes. I mean, do you hear from folks going, "Hey, we want more of this," or "How about this?" Or do you notice that some topics like, max out your capacity? I don't know. I mean, is some of that part of what you're doing as well?
No, that's a great question. That's actually one of the ways that I try and figure out what topics are needed is, so during all of our sessions afterwards, in order to stay in beat with your industry, you have to understand like what do they need. And so having those constant active conversations are really important. And so I'll do that by being in the session and hearing what are people asking. During every session we have a live Q&A, and so like I try and notice, I'll take note of all the themes that continue to pop up, and then after our sessions we also have a survey that say, hey, what did you think of the what did you think of the content? What did you think of your speaker? Are there any particular areas that you're really interested or looking for? And so we have two very specific questions that are like, if you're an administrator, what do you want to hear? What do you need to learn? And then we'll have a variety of suggestions that they can select from. They have an opportunity to write down specifically what they're asking for. And then we'll have a question that's specifically for teachers. It's like, as a teacher, what do you need support in? What do you want to grow in? And then that gives us a ton of data of, okay, here are the little trends after 300 webinars that we just hosted. And now we're aggregating all of that to say like, all right, here are the threads, here's the theme, here's what people are asking for. And then I'll use that to deep dive into, all right, who's going to be some of the best presenters to bring on next year or next quarter. So that way we bake out our schedules 6 months in advance. So a lot of that comes from all of this data that we're gathering and then say like, all right, people have been asking for, I need more help on social emotional learning for my students in class. Or, hey, I'm a new director, but I came in from being a teacher and I grew my career and now I'm officially a director, amazing opportunity, but I didn't have a chance to learn about like what it means to read a financial book and like how do I project how I'm going to pay my team, how I'm going to run the house, what am I going to do? So it's just like being able to be in tune through both the analytical side of like taking this genuine data and then also taking in the anecdotal piece is super helpful for being able to understand like what do people need, and then going back and then going like, all right, let's find the people who are going to teach this.
So it sounds like there's a
guys.
lot more to your job than just press and start and creating a registration page, right? So,
Yes.
yeah. So I know you've got some stuff coming up. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you guys have coming up currently or might be coming up in the future. It's currently about the second week of November. So we film these in advance. So, if you're wondering.
So if we're speaking in the future,
no, right now it is theoretically November 11th-ish.
So we just started a whole admin series on how to run a best-in-class childcare program. And so this is a 5-part webinar series that we're running that goes through 5 specific topics that every childcare director, owner, or administrator really needs to know. And so it runs through like, what's the first stage of what do you need to do to bring people into your program? And that's like, how do I connect with my community and how do I reach everyone in your zip code who needs childcare? And so that's like the enrollment piece of what are you doing to bring people in for interest? And then 2, what is that like? What does it look like from an enrollment policy to help people so that way once they're in the door and they're signed up, what do they need to do to have your program completely ready? So that way your policy, your handbook is designed for your program to grow. And that like leads into, okay, what does it need to also then remain compliant as you're getting people in? What does that look like in terms of, okay, I do need 1,000 different pieces of paper. How do I digitize that? How do I make it so that way it's easy for me to report on when the time comes and I can tell you every child that has different allergies, how many folks are in my classroom at what time? And so like going through like the compliance portion of your program and how to keep it so that way you're totally inspection ready. And then the 4th session is on with you guys, which is coming up on December 2nd, which I highly suggest not missing. But this is a little bit of one of those pieces that people don't always, or like directors don't always get the chance to learn just from school because they weren't prepared to. But what do you need to know beyond tuition? What are the 3 specific numbers that every director must master? And so that goes into, as you guys will be our engineers of what does it look like to read a financial report? How do I forecast with confidence? How do I use classroom level data to make smart staffing decisions for the future or for like what's happening this week, next week, and so forth for my program? And then afterwards, the final program or series in the program is going to be on billing and tuition. So what are you going to do to build like the backbone of your policy that's going to help protect your program from delayed payments and setting things up for success. So that way, if by the end you're looking for strengthening your relationships with your parents and your teachers for consistency, how do you handle financial conversations? How do you establish the systems that support the financial stability and just running smooth operations? So that's the whole series that we're currently on. And that if you guys are listening to this now, I would suggest definitely jumping into Kate and Carrie's session on December 2nd, I believe, but it started on November 4th and it'll go through December 16th. So that program's running every Tuesday for a couple weeks, and then we'll launch that program completely for our next year. So you guys have the chance to continue to learn from these two. And
well, I just want to add, so in case for some reason you've missed an episode, you can always go back and watch episodes on ECI, right? And the other thing that's really, really great, because, they've got awesome guests. A lot of their teachers and guests have actually been guests on our podcast. So what we might do, I don't know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is in the show notes of this episode, Carrie, write this down so I remember. The show notes
Marie's
of this
gonna hate you.
She brings out her pen.
The show notes of this episode, I will have the links to the episodes that other members of that 5-part series who have been guests with us, their episode link, and the episode content is different. So in other words, if you've really liked what they had to say on ECI, know that we've got some additional, not the same, additional content from them over here on Childcare Conversations. So thank you for letting me do that plug. I'm sure, I know that our podcast person is going to be thrilled with me.
No, I'm so grateful for you both also being the folks who are going to help launch this program. So like I said, the program is designed to help other directors and owners get the chance to cover their bases. So it's going to be really important. And this was also learned from all of that, like the survey data that we have of like, what do you guys need? This is one of those many topics of like, please help. Like, yes, here we are putting it into a package for you. 5 things you need to know to run a best-in-class childcare business.
It is so important to have administrative training because so many of us who start a program or step into the leadership role did not go to business school before stepping into that leadership role. And if you didn't go to business school, then you may not have had exposure to things like amortization schedules and reading balance sheets or projecting into the future. What are my needs going to be 6 months from now? You can think about it, but having a structured way to do that is really helpful. But you don't know how to do it until you know how to do it. So I think it's wonderful that you're going to have this series and hopefully do it several times so that if people missed 1 week because they were having to go drive the van for the school age kids, they can pick it up again in a month or 2.
Man, now I'm curious how often you guys had to go pick up kids.
Fortunate, but yes, there were some who did. And for those who are listening who maybe haven't heard all of mine and Carrie's story, just to kind of give folks an idea, this has been a hot passion of mine and Carrie's. Mine personally, since 1994, I taught my very first How to Run Your Child Care Center Like a Business for the Ohio Small Business Development Center. And so that's been a little while. And so we still run across folks who get into child because they care for kids, right? Like they love children. This is their passion. They did not wake up that morning and go, woohoo, I get to look at a cash flow statement. Like this is not something that wakes them up and gets them excited. And
or maybe they didn't wake up going, oh yay, I get to review my policies.
Or my rental agreement, or we could go all day long on that. But I'm so glad that ECI is here as a resource, that you guys are actually listening and trying to figure out how to help the people who are coming on and listening to your to the guests that you have that are saying, "Hey, I want more." And I think that is just incredibly awesome that you guys are trying to be responsive within about 6 months or so. This is not like, "Oh, we'll get around to it." You guys are actually, and you're doing the research looking for people. It's not just,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want to come and be on." There's a little vetting that goes on. You got to make sure that they're up to snuff and that they fit with what folks want to listen to. So Carrie is making a face.
No, that's because my phone made a noise and
Oh.
I turned it off, and I don't know why it made noise. It's supposed to be on silent.
Well, I do
Well,
have one question, Hannah. How
yeah.
many, and maybe you do know this and maybe you don't, how many unique different people have come to ECI in just the last 6 months or so?
Ooh, in the last 6
For the
months?
last year, since the beginning of 2025.
Yeah. So I would say probably around just this year. So over the past 16 years, it's been 3 million educators. This year, I want to say, it's funny because I recently looked at this numbers, 306,700 something.
So those
Okay.
are those repeats or are those unique? Like, or do
Those
you
are
guys?
unique folks who are new to ECI, and it was one of my goals of how can I help grow and continue to reach more educators and just those in our industry. So that's been an active goal of mine, is like, how can we continue to share this free resource? Because who doesn't love free? And we want to make sure that people know they have access to free content that is extremely and well thorough, like research, that, or as you said it, up to snuff. And
Not
I'm
sure
gonna
that's new.
pocket
I think
that
that's
one.
old.
I absolutely love it. I'm gonna pocket this one, but they have been snuffed out so thoroughly, so that way when they're on, it's because we've gone through extreme diligence of, how long have you been in the field? How long have you presented this topic? Is this going to be new, or did you just come out with your book and you're on your book tour schedule and now like you're jumping in virtually for this? So it's a lot of hard work that goes on the back end to make sure that what we're bringing to the table to folks is of high quality. So that way, when you are as a teacher or in your classroom, you can say like, I was just listening to this professor from Illinois that just went through like all this national research project and and I got to learn about it like from their own mouth. Like that's a part of what we want to be doing, is sharing their learnings, so that way you can bring it into your classroom
Well,
and
we will
into your
make sure
program.
also in the show notes that there's a way for people to subscribe to get your updates so that they know what's coming. So
Yeah.
definitely make sure that you guys are looking for that as well, because we'll definitely make sure that's in the show notes. And if you get our show notes or you listen to us and you are not subscribed to our newsletter, then you may be missing a lot of content, because we send out a podcast newsletter twice a week.
Nice.
So Carrie, you're making a
Subscribe,
face again.
folks.
Kate is
And
looking at my face, guys. Nobody except the 2 other people on this call can see my face, Kate. I was just gonna say, I hope that we didn't lose people early on because they thought we were talking about another thing they had to pay for. We didn't say free early enough. I think we need to have said free 15 times in the first 5 minutes, because this
We'll
is
make
free.
it in the title.
Yeah, maybe.
free professional
So,
development.
depending on your state, in some states, to get credit for the training with ECI, they want you to watch it live, and others want you to fill out like a questionnaire. And if you're the questionnaire states, they do give you a questionnaire so that your licensing rep can see that you actually learned something from
Yeah.
the workshop. So even if you're in a state that has high requirements for PTPD, you can still use this. And even if it doesn't count for licensing, you can still learn some stuff.
Yeah, and I love that you said that too, because one of the other projects that I'm working on is actually becoming training sponsored organizations with each state registry. So I'm actively going through every state and getting us officially becoming an official TSO in each state, and then all of our content is going to be up as a professional development course. The event will be there, and then that will allow you to attend either live, but also you can watch the recordings later. And because we do certificate programs for everything, you will be able to send back all of that data, so that way their professional development hours actually get accounted for. And again, with the research, a lot of it also comes from like, what do each state require for their hours?
I think you might have some problems in Nevada, but other than that, I think you'll be in good shape because they want every workshop to be approved through their registry before you do.
Well, and in Minnesota, you have to take some college classes.
Yeah. And CEUs are definitely a future project.
Yes. No, we're just talking about on the trainer registries. So those change. Every state's different. We've gone down some of your rabbit hole. We got stuck and we went, no.
There have been times where I'm like, this will be priority 2. You just kind of get the low hanging fruit first, which has been quite amount of many states. And then like we just got approved in Michigan, Wisconsin. We've been with California, Arizona, and there's just a plethora of states that we already work with. And now it's just like, how do we get the rest? And so it's been quite a journey on doing the approvals, getting our courses up, getting them all that data sent back over. Because you're right, it's like every state does have different requirements. And on our website, we have a full page about each state and what your requirements are, how to earn them, what your course topical areas are. So if you are watching this from any state, you can go onto our site and under professional development and look up what your requirements are needed, then how either ECI can help or how you can go do it on your own, or in some other aspect. So hopefully that will be a wonderful resource for everyone.
I think that is, just knowing it's all in one place, and because you guys do have over 300,000 new subscribers in the last year, which is great. And if folks don't know where to find you, you're at conferences. If you happen to see Playground at a conference, you might see Hannah at a different booth. So although ECI is now owned and operated by Playground, they are still functioning as their own entity. And so Hannah's got her own booths. And so make sure if you're at a conference and you see Hannah, say hi. And we are so excited to continue to build this partnership and collaboration with ECI and with Playground. And with that, Carrie, what else do they need to do?
Well, if you enjoyed this show, then you need to share it with somebody else who needs to know. And of course, make sure that you are following or subscribed, depending on your podcast player of choice. And, if you want to, go over to YouTube, since Hannah and Kate kept saying, see me, you can on YouTube. If you haven't ever seen our crazy faces in real life, you can go on to YouTube and watch us there. And definitely give us your ideas of what you want us to talk about, because we got plenty of time to talk about what you need in your program. See you in a few days.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Childcare Conversations.